What are the trends and perspectives for the Brazilian agribusiness in the next years?
What we believe is that Brazil is already a global leader in most of the large commodities. Brazil has a lot to grow in terms of planted area, growing yields, improving infrastructure. All of that is in movement, and that's in motion. So what we believe in the next 5 to 10 years is that Brazil will continue to grow its importance as a global supplier of food for the world by tackling its current bottlenecks that it has. And certainly they are moving into the right direction. It's not always at the speeds that we may want. It goes, a little bit further and then a little bit backwards. But the direction is correct. It's more investments in infrastructure, more investments in technology, and certainly more financing and a more plain market for financing for farming in Brazil.
Given the latest developments in Brazilian agribusiness, what are the biggest concerns for investors?
I think agriculture in Brazil has been and will be a very good investment, and the environment around agribusiness is more or less immune to any political turmoil that can happen in Brazil. So the concerns are the same: profitability, margins, returns, image, sustainability, and all these kind of aspects are being treated with the local operators.
You are based in a dry region of Brazil. What type of technology is being used in that region to increase production and manage changes posed by the weather, as what happened last year?
Well, we are located in West Bahia and East Tocantins, a region called Mato Piba. It's not exactly a dry region, but it's a border of the Cerrado and the dry areas of Brazil. So you have to use technology to produce there in a high yield, right? One of those technologies is the soil profile. You have to have a depth of around 50 centimeters of soil with limestone, with phosphor, so that the plants can develop the root system well below, and they can support the droughts better than in other regions where you have more rain and more stability in the climate. But I think we can produce. This year was a regular year. The production was very good, and droughts they occur. And they can occur everywhere. They occurred last year for us, but they can occur in Mato Grosso as well and in other places.
You mentioned that the cost of production of soybeans in Brazil is higher than other countries, and it's important to manage margins in order to guarantee profit. Can you please comment on that?
Yeah, since we are in the Cerrado, basically the Brazilian production is located in the Cerrado now. The soil there is poor, so you have to use a lot of fertilizers, much more than in Argentina, for example, and that increases the costs. Another factor that also increases the costs are the logistics. While in Argentina you are located 200 kilometers from the port, in our area you are located 1,000 kilometers from the port, and in some areas in Mato Grosso more than 2,000 kilometers from the port. So the cost of freight is much higher for us than for themselves. Taxation also is a problem, and also the weeds and the insects that affect our crops. Since we are in a tropical area and soybeans are a temperate climate plant, they occur with more intensity, these insects and weeds, and so you have to spend more money in chemicals and in techniques to avoid these problems. So these all together, they cause an increase in our cost, which is higher than the cost for the soybeans in Argentina. For an example, last time I saw these numbers, they have a cost of approximately $200 per hectare there, while our cost here is $700 per hectare for production soybeans in Brazil. So that's the difference. Well, I think the investing in Cerrado is a very nice opportunity now because of two factors. One, the logistics improvements that will occur. I mean, the future is brilliant for the logistics. They are being built. You have the Norte-Sul Railway that is being built. You have the North Arc ports like Itaqui Port and another port in close to Belém do Pará that is being built and is growing very fast. The exports through there. So if you have these logistic improvements and also the legislation, the new law allowing foreign investors to buy land in Brazil, that will create demand for land, and the only place where you still can find land in a cheap price is the Cerrado. So that's why I think it's a very nice opportunity now to invest in the Cerrado.
What are the expectations for the next years regarding the ethanol market?
Well, we are a sugarcane producer. We don't produce ethanol or sugar. We're not millers. So as a farmer, the expectation we have is the government, which regulates this market, will let ethanol be more flexible and following market, the industry, and not interfering, the government not interfering in the pricing, because if someone decides to interfere in price, they should interfere in cost. They never do that. So for the producers, the millers, which are the ones that we supply, have positive margins. I think the best way is let the ethanol business and product free float following market industry.
How is the current economic crisis affecting farming in Brazil?
When you look at the farming that have exports driving business, like grains or cotton or other products, poultry, meats in general, the crisis is affecting the financing side and all that, but there's a huge demand. So because of the demand, this industry is moving. I think it's the only sector in Brazil that is less affected compared with other sectors in Brazil, but mainly because the driving for the business is exports. So if you're a soy producer, you should be worried about what's happening in China or in Asia or other parts of the world, because we just consume 30% of our production, 70% exports. So we have to look at that. So sugar, even more, concentrating fruits, orange juice, also meats. So those business actually guarantee for the producers, it's like a hedge, if you will, because we don't depend only the internal market. So if you're producing something that is a Brazilian main destination, then definitely you'll be suffering much more.